I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wiwang people, and pay my respects to their elders, their past and present. And later on, one of the councillors, Bunda Walker, will come up and acknowledge country, or welcome to country. But until then, I'd just like to welcome our ambassador, our Australian Day ambassador. Can you give him and his wife, Yianni, Johnson and Christian, a big round of applause, please? They're from over at Newcastle Way. I also notice, obviously, our Mayor Michael Webb is here, but also councillors Bunda, as I mentioned. I saw Bill Fisher and someone else is from the council here. I know Al sends his apologies today, but there is some representation from council and we thank them. And of course, big appreciation to those people who have done all this work to get this on today. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
I can't give you welcome to country. I can only give acknowledgement of country because I'm not from this area. And I'd like to pay my respect to both the Walewan and the Gummeroi people, and pay my respect to the elders, both old, past, present and the future ones. And hope the future ones can set an example like our past ones have. Thank you.
I'm certainly honoured to be here with you as the Mayor today. It's my pleasure to introduce 2017 Australia Day Ambassador. This one's a bit longer. I know it's not, it's bigger print. Yianni Johns. Gentleman here. No, I've got a bit more to say. I'll speak a little bit because if he gets the mic, he won't shut up. Yianni is a self-taught artist. He started exhibiting his work in public in 1985. In 1981, he had his first solo exhibition in Sydney, where he was involved at the time. A very progressive art movement called loosely art in public spaces. I think they get arrested for that now. In 1998, Yianni hosted his own solo exhibition on the Central Coast where he lives. In 2002, Yianni made the front page of his local paper after being selected to sit for an Archibald Prize by the award-winning artist Peter Smith. This brought him to the attention of local businessman Cedric Milner. Out of that meeting, a new gallery was born in the heart of Wyong. The Grand Gallery shared a space with a bottle shop at the back of the Grand Hotel, a perfect venue for an art gallery. Absolutely. The charter of the Grand Gallery was bringing art to the people. In 2007, Yianni founded the Super Art Project and found himself curating 24 studio galleries across housing 64 artists. There were over 1,000 guests at the official opening in 2008 of what Yianni said was one of the biggest bringing art back to the people events on the coast. Yianni has exhibited regularly since 1985, featuring over 80 exhibitions. Yianni's art is collected by corporate and private collectors worldwide. In June 2012, Yianni had his project up on the billboards of Times Square in New York for a project called Art Takes Times Square. Estimated 500,000 people were in attendance at the event. From 2004 to 2013, Yianni was presenter and arts reporter for his weekly radio show called Smarts Arts on 92.5 ABC Central Radio Central Coast. In 2014, Yianni spent 2 months on an artist residency in Beijing in China, representing Australia in the arts in Beijing. He also exhibits in Montreal and New York. Now times he is a full-time artist and breaks up that with his role as a casual content maker producer with ABC local radio in Newcastle and the Central Coast. If you could all please welcome Yianni Johns.
Wow. Who wrote that? Did you write that? Excuse me, I'll just get my water. I'm very honoured to be here today, and I'd like to welcome you all here. And before I start Coonamble, I'd like to pay my respects to the past, present and future traditional owners of the land we're gathering on today, the Walewan and Gamilaroi, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that was quite an intro. Where did that come from? Anyway, yeah, I've been all over the place flogging art, dragging art out of galleries, dragging artists out of galleries and bringing them to the street But this morning I'm going to talk little bit about my China exhibition and a little bit about how Australia Day is more than just a day for Aussies, it's a day for everyone who lives here. So Australia Day is an opportunity to come together and celebrate and showcase the unique and diverse culture that makes us all Australians. Australia Day encourages people to commemorate in ways that reflect their connection to Australia, whether they are Indigenous Australians, newly immigrated Australians, or born citizens. Excuse me. All of you choose to be here today to celebrate, but no matter where people live or how they choose to commemorate Australia Day, it is a celebration for us all. It's for everyone. Excuse me. And it's hot here. I'm honoured and very proud to be invited by Coonamble Shire Council to be your Australia Day ambassador this year. In my role, in my role as ambassador, which began for me in 2010, when I was awarded an Australia Day ambassador for my services to arts and culture, it was a very surprising thing. It's something I'm always emotionally grabbed by the whole thing. But it's something that you don't plan, I was just doing my thing, showing off artists and painting and doing that. Well, the next thing I know, I'm invited to be an Australia Day awards recipient and ambassador. And during that time, since 2010, I've been able to welcome new Australians to Australia. It's a very thing that makes me proud. And also hand out certificates to Australia Day Award nominees. I love coming to the country. This is where the hard work is done. In the city, if it rains, everyone runs inside to get out of the rain. But you guys got to run outside and make sure that those potential crops are cared for, all that sort of stuff. When it gets hot, people run inside, whack on the air conditioner. They're not out looking after their stock and feed and making sure that they're looked after. And it's one of those tasks that is done unseen most of the time, and it's very much a part of the engine of Australia. And I'd like to thank you, and I'm sure Australia thanks you for the efforts that you put in, and in an isolated kind of way that you work out here. When I'm not travelling around delivering the Australia Day address, I'm an artist and I make radio with 2 stations in my area, because at the moment I'm living near Newcastle. And so I'm a content maker and producer for 2 stations, 1233 ABC Newcastle and 92.5 in Gosford. The thing I love about radio, and we were talking about it earlier, is the engaging people and hearing their stories. And I'm hopeful that I get a few of your stories today, because that's what keeps us Aussie as well, is those stories. We perpetuate those stories. We keep them going. Being an artist, as you've just heard, it's taken me to many places on the planet. I had my first international exhibition in Montreal in 2009. From there, I was invited to have a show in New York in 2010, which was a lot of pressure because it takes a couple of years to paint one exhibition. And so in 2010, 2011 in New York, and then most recently in Beijing in China, where I spent 2 months as artist in residence and with the Red Gate Gallery. And it's one of the longest running Sino Western galleries in Beijing, and it's run by an Aussie, which is great. One of the reasons I was selected to be artist in residence was an idea I had about reincarnation. No, not your conventional thoughts about reincarnation, like coming back as your dog because it's got such a good life. No, mine was more about mine was more about reincarnating in Pilbara, where I was living at the time. And, sorry, I've lost my place. When I applied for the residency, I was living with my wife and Kristen in the Pilbara. And shortly after we were married in 2013, well, actually 1 week after we were married in 2013, we were taken from the lush, plentiful East Coast and delivered to Karratha. Red dust and ore trains as far as the eye could see. Kristen had landed a job in the oil and gas industry, and which meant we had to move there for a couple of years for the contract. In Karratha, I painted every day and explored on the other days. I soon discovered that 24 hours a day, ore trains over 2 kilometres long would be delivering crushed ore from the mines to Dampier, a harbour that was a few minutes away from our house. And waiting in the harbour were these massive ships. My artist's eye saw these trains as taking our land. Well, it was actually crushed iron ore, but artists can be dramatic. You know, just ask my wife, I'm very dramatic. But I saw our land going, you know, and so that was the basis of my pitch to get the residency. So my concept was that these trains delivering our land to huge ships, which in turn delivered our land to China, and then our land, this land, or our crushed ore, was then converted into steel and made into 21st century skyscrapers. Massive, beautiful, sculptural skyscrapers. So my idea was to express this in painting. And the way I did it was to have Pilbara landscape icons with these massive buildings growing out of it. For instance, like Dampier Lookout. It's a little lookout with a map thing. But in my paintings, I've got the, you know, CCTV building, which is what they call in Beijing the trousers, because it's a big, you know, building that joins up in the sky, and it's fantastic. And it's kind of, it creates attention. And it was a great concept. Visually, it was visually exciting, and I'm still playing with it, so I haven't given up on it. But I plan to have an exhibition of these works in Beijing during my stay. Well, that was the initial idea until I was invited by the Australian ambassador to China to attend a business lunch there, where I was asked to share my idea. And it was in front of all these top Chinese business people who kept complaining that we don't do enough business with them and all this sort of stuff. And so I get up in front of the luncheon, start to share my concept, the reason I was in China, what I planned to paint and exhibit in Beijing. All the Aussies got excited. Yay, that's a great idea. I looked at the Chinese, all I got was blank stares and water sipping. What's he talking about? So, as it turned out, the people that I was addressing had no idea that China got its iron ore from Australia. So basically, that ruined my idea. My idea was just crushed. And it was crushed like the ore that we send to China. So I went on to paint a series of paintings I called roof words, where I painted lots of Chinese buildings, and in China there's a lot of verbal language going on. These big words coming out of the sky at you, buy this, and all this sort of stuff. So my new plan for my exhibitions in China was roof words, where I put old and new culture together in paintings. Probably sounds boring to you guys, but the Chinese actually loved it. And I was eventually I was invited back to be part of by the Chinese government to have my art exhibited to help the new consumerist China in their quest to be accepted by their friends. So it's buying important art, it's buying the right cars, it's having the perfect kitchen and things like that. So I was part of that. It was a very different experience, I must say, as an artist. Now, what this is a bit of an example about the Australian ability to adapt. Here I was, firm concept in my mind, ready to go, and then I had to change step. And that's that's what we all do, especially well in Australia. Australia, people out here in the country, you guys know what adapting is about. We're a bit comfortable in the city. We don't do that much. It's just turn up the air conditioner or whinge about being stuck in traffic. We're also good at it, especially you guys out here. So my initial art idea quite plainly went nowhere in Beijing. So I changed and adapted my concepts and had a great couple of exhibitions featuring those Chinese themes that I mentioned. During my time in Beijing, I was visited by lots of international gallery owners, and one guy walked in who represents me now in Perth, Robert Baratti. He's come in, he likes what he saw, he kind of adopted me in China, and it wasn't until weeks later in our sort of association that I found out that he's actually my wife's half-brother's cousin. What a coincidence. And you know what, he picked me for me, not because we're related. And so that was like, what? I've met this guy in China and we're related and now he represents me. So it's a strange coincidence. Now Australia's a big country, as you all know, and who'd think I'd end up having a coincidence with this very town, Coonamble. This is the first time I've ever been here, and I like it. I like what I've seen. I haven't had much time, but I love it. And when I was telling people I'm coming to Coonamble, my 83-year-old mum informed me that over the New Year holidays, that decades ago, my grandfather, I don't know if any of you know him, Thomas Moss lived in Coonamble. He was here years ago, and then he went on to Coonamble, where all the siblings, all the babies were born, and all that sort of stuff. So moving forward 30 years ago, my big sister, Margaret Murphy, with her boyfriend Peter Caldecott, they came to Coonamble to run a pub, and that was called the Sons of the Soil Hotel. Anyone know that place? Who's been thrown out? No? Well, I've been thrown out with you. Maggie has very fond memories of living in the town, of people that used to have their dogs walk them home after too many beers. One of her favourite and fun memories was delivering kegs of beer to the Townies versus Cocky cricket match. Does that still go on? No? Oh, what a shame. I'm going to tell her she's going to be devastated. Another thing she loved was the Coonamble parade, with proper floats and all the pomp and ceremony that the parade brings to town. Is that still happening? Come on, get back into it. What was it? Wool Festival. There you go. So anyway, there's another connection to your fair city. Discovering this kind of thing, you can only ponder on how small the world really is. Like the week before Christmas, a friend of mine, I haven't seen since we were boy aircraft mechanics based on the Australian Navy carrier HMAS Melbourne, and that was back in the 70s, so 40 years ago. He messages me on Facebook and he says, "Oh, I'm staying near where you live. So you reckon we can do lunch?" Yep, so we meet up for lunch, and I mentioned I mentioned I'm coming to Coonamble for Australia Day. Now Don Roach, remember that name, says to me, "I think I've got some rellos in Coonamble." Well, you're not going to believe this. Coonamble, the town of the nickname Hall of Fame that you are. You ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah, where am I? I've lost my place. Don Roach's cousin is the wonderful lady from Coonamble Council who is our chaperone here today, Veronica Chandler. So a big round of applause for Veronica. She's been doing such a great job. And her nickname is Bronk, and she's Cocky Roach's cousin. Thank you for being such a great chaperone. I haven't had one of those since I first started going out with girls. But, so I wonder if I'll cop a nickname today. And I want it to be clean, please. But actually, I do have a nickname. You want to hear it? Come on, you want to hear it? Yes. Yianni Banani. I got that when I was a kid. It's still stuck, and it doesn't matter whether you're an ambassador or you're doing shows in America or you think you're really smart. Yianni banana. You think I hate that person, but they're right. I love it. You see, what I'm getting at with this is it pays to be nice to everyone in Australia, not only on Australia Day, because you never know who they're going to know or who they're related to. So, in closing, I'd like to thank all the sponsors of the Australia Day Council, the Mayor, you beautiful people for your wonderful hospitality last night. Thank you to Coonamble Shire Council, and thank you to you Aussies, old and new, for being here today. And I just got one more thing, I won't keep you sitting too long. Go forth and be Aussie in your own way and share our Happy Australia Day. In the spirit of encompassing all the people celebrating our National Day, I'd like to reiterate the great words of the little Aussie boxer Jeff Fennick and say to you guys, Australians, I love yous all. Happy Australia Day, Coonamble. I'm sure you'll see my face up here again soon.
Most importantly is the Mayor and the councillors for making themselves available today. We thank them for that. Our ambassador and his wife, Yianni, Johns and Kristen, we thank them for making the effort to come from Newcastle. We also want to thank all the community members who have attended here today and those who were nominated. Congratulations. Nomination in itself is recognition. Again, I would encourage the community to try and find a little more enthusiasm in some of the categories that were short this year. Next year, think of somebody you think needs some recognition and get them nominated. It's not that hard to do. The panel itself is made up by community members and council representation, and it's all secretly done, and the recipients are only announced and known here today. We also want to thank Rotary for breakfast. It was outstanding, as it always is. Their recognition was also through the part of the day and made for a hearty breakfast to start everyone's Australia Day. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Veronica. She worked very hard to put this together, and she deserves certainly a big round of applause from you guys. That winds things up. There's still a bit of activity, a bit of a chat. No, Yianni wants to get around and talk to some of the locals and to hear their stories, and I'm sure that you'll have a story or two for him as well. And we'll get the Mayor to present a pin to our ambassador to finish up the day's proceedings.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Coonamble. Have a good Australia Day.
Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I've got one more job to do. The Australia Day Council is playing a lot with social media at the moment. So what I'd like to do is set up a little bit of a video with, see, they send us all these dreadful things. I can't stand them. I want to whip people with them, but that's naughty, I shouldn't say that. These are the Australia Day selfie sticks. But their objective is not to be so much about selfie, but to incorporate everyone who's celebrating Australia Day. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to set this up and I'm going to put me in the photo, in the video, and film all you guys. And can I get you all to yell out when I ask you, Happy Australia Day from Coonamble? Can you do that for me? We pay equity rates. Give me a minute.